Super, super excited to be here today. A big thank you to the Ananta Center for having me. So, to give you a bit of an introduction, my name is Dia, and I am a mountaineer and explorer. Just 3 years ago, I made it to the summit of Mount Everest with my dad as India's first father-daughter team. And a big reason about why we climb together is to spread the message of female empowerment in our country and all over the world. Of course, the coolest part of getting to the summit of Mount Everest with my father was actually unfurling the national flag. It was a very, very exciting moment for the both of us, especially because just an hour before, we both didn't think that we'd be able to make it. Dad's oxygen mask actually froze an hour before we reached the summit, and it was one of the most frightening moments of my life. Um, because the path is very narrow, both of us couldn't actually wait. And so I had to unfortunately keep going forward, much to my dismay. And Dad actually had to stop. And for him, it was a no-brainer. He was like, "You keep going, go ahead, don't worry about me." But of course, I was very worried. When I reached the summit of Mount Everest, it was actually 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and it was still very dark outside. And it was very, very stressful because it didn't even hit me that I had reached because I was so nervous and kind of like just waiting there, waiting for dad to come up, and hoping I'd see him. And then the most magical thing happened. Just as the sun started to rise above the horizon, I saw dad walking towards me, almost in slow motion. And both of us actually met at the summit of Mount Everest and hugged and cried. Actually, it was very, very exciting, very, very emotional. And then unfurled our national flag. We don't climb for the records. So when I talk about climbing as India's first father-daughter team, it wasn't to be like, oh, look, we've done this amazing thing and we're the first people to do it, right? There are so many firsts for everything. Climbing as a father-daughter team to us was important because we wanted to show families everywhere that us daughters are capable of doing a lot. When we talk about changing the way people think about women, right, and how to bring more inclusion into the conversation, I think there are three major things that we need to really, really think about and address. The first one is actually just talking about it, right? And we need our fathers, our brothers, our uncles, our sons, everyone who, identifies as a male to get involved in this conversation. We need people to start thinking about it and talking about it. And that I think is the first step, awareness. And that's always been a big driving factor for me through this journey. The second thing I would say is we need to start thinking about instituting change, right? We need to rethink the way our systems are currently, and we need to figure out how to make it more inclusive for women. An example that comes to mind is, we need to have maternity leave and paternity leave. We need men to understand that they need to be a part of bringing up their child, right? It's not only the mom's job, and I think that was something for me personally that was very, very present throughout my childhood. Both my parents were very, very involved in bringing up both my younger sister and I. And that equal sharing of responsibilities is very important, I think, as we think about changing the conversation and the narrative from what it has been so far. And finally, I think the third biggest thing in my idea is empowering women. So we need to also then provide women training opportunities, stories, inspiration to kind of think beyond what traditional roles have been given to them and move beyond that. That's my sort of little take um, on what I think is the most um, the three most important things as we kind of move forward with this conversation. I think I started to climb before I could even walk. I went on my first hike on dad's back. We were, I think, hiking in Nepal, mom and dad both, and I was literally on their back. And that's kind of been the story of my childhood as well as my younger sister's childhood. Adventure and the outdoors has always been a very, very big part of what we do, and both of us absolutely love it. I think when it came to taking it on in a more serious note, it was definitely a choice. My younger sister definitely appreciates kayaking and scuba diving, but she wants to come back to a comfortable bed and I think likes having attached bathrooms. It's very similar for my mom. But dad and I like to rough it out a little bit more, and we like to, really truly go out to these very remote areas and experience the world for um, what it truly can be in a very, very primitive sense. And so I went on my first major expedition when I was 14 years old with dad. We went sea kayaking in Greenland. And I think the intensity just slowly built up. When you grow up in the field of adventure, a lot of us, hear about Mount Everest. Like almost every book that you read has some mention of it. Every movie that you watch definitely talks about it. And there's a lot of excitement associated with the climb and going out on an adventure like this. I I think what always drew me to the outdoors was the fact that you form really great bonds with people. At the end of the day, you realize it doesn't matter who you're climbing with, how old they are, where they're from, what language they speak. When you go out there and do something amazing like this together, the friendships you form last a lifetime, and they get formed within days versus, the same bonds that could take years to develop in the city happen very, very fast outdoors because you're doing this very extreme thing together. So adventure for the companionship, adventure for the challenging yourself to your limit and then moving past that, right? Working hard to achieve a goal. Those were things that I've always loved. And again, Everest was always in the back of my mind and the back of dad's mind because he's also grown up in the field of adventure. And I don't even remember who brought it up to the other person, but one of us, I think, said Everest, and the other person immediately was like, "Yes, oh my gosh, we've got to do this." And that's kind of where the journey started. We had done multiple climbs before. Both of us are trained mountaineers, but of course, a journey like Everest does take a lot of planning and preparation. In fact, we actually spent 2 years training for the climb. Um, and so the reason why I tell you all of this is because I think all of us sometimes hesitate when it comes to dreaming big, right? You could think of doing something and then you tell yourself, no, this isn't for me. Let me tell you, growing up in the field of adventure, Everest was always on the back of my mind, but it took me really a long time to, think to myself, hey, wait, you know what? I'm totally capable of doing this. So a takeaway for all of you is that if you do have this dream, this goal, make sure that you dream big, dream bigger than you think is even possible, because there is no better feeling than dreaming big and working hard to achieve those goals. The planning, the training, I say 2 years, again, I joke, I feel like I've been doing this, planning for this or training for this my whole life, because each and every moment kind of built up to that attempt, the hardships that we faced over there. But then it made it so much more worth it when we finally unfurled the flag. I talk a little bit about team, right? The people who surround you, the people who are with you. Um, there is no mountain, right, that you can climb by yourself. While the physical aspect of it, yes, is you, and mountaineering might seem like a solo sport, I think there is a great value to the team that supports you. Um, for me, it was friends, family back home, my younger sister, my mom, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, everyone who was sending me all the love and the positivity on the way up there made every challenge that I faced up on that mountain so much easier to bear. And I think that's something that again I keep with me in my day-to-day life is that I don't have to face a challenge or a burden by myself. There are people out there who I know who are my well-wishers, who wish the best for me. And in moments where you're feeling low or stressed out or upset, turn to the people who give you strength and make sure that you also give them strength. This year has been incredibly, or the past couple of years have been incredibly challenging for all of us. In a way, we've all had to face our own storms, our own challenges, and extreme situations. And nothing can take away from some of the hardships that I'm sure all of you have faced, having to adjust to this new normal with the pandemic, with the way life has been. But I think it all comes down to, making sure that you reframe your current goals. So keep thinking about what your final objective is, and that will get you through moments of difficulty. Keep your team close to you, the people that you love, the people that care about you. And I think most importantly, keep a positive attitude. And with that, I just want to say a big thank you for all of you for taking the time out to be here today. Wishing each and every one of you health, happiness, and success much, much higher than Mount Everest. Thank you.